one of the most incredible rides outside of Eli's awesome performance was Julien Beaumer. Absolute epic ride, locking down his first win in his professional career. Doesn't come as a surprise, especially how well he rode all weekend long in Anaheim, how well he was riding through qualifying practice, great heat race. But nevertheless, super stoked to have him on Title 24 with you and I, RV. So let's bring in this week's winner, the 250 West Division at Snapdragon Stadium, Julien Beaumer. Yeah, guy, what's up? Congratulations.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah. So how's it feel to get your first one out of the way?
Yeah, it feels good to get that one out of the way. I think like the last 5 laps felt like they took forever, but no, it was definitely exciting to get that one out of the way, and I'm looking forward to having this feeling a little more often.
Dude, real quick, so like, and it's kind of a loaded question, and if it's like too much, you don't even have to answer it, but like, where did the difference come from? And was there a moment in the off season, whether you were at the test track or wherever it was, to where you are riding as comfortable and as flawless as you are now? Like, was it like December? Was it November? Was there a time where you're like, oh, like I'm firing right now?
I'd say it was probably beginning middle of November. I had a really good start to boot camp, and we found a setup pretty early into the off season. So that was like the biggest thing for me, and I could just ride and do my laps. And I think it was like when there was one day, I think I told you about this already, Ricky. There was one day we had a 20-minute moto we had a 15+1 actually. And I was clicking off laps like really good. And I'd say 15-minute mark, they gave me 1 lap left. I kept going. 20-minute mark, they gave me 1 lap left, kept going. And I think I got 35 laps and pulled off because I didn't want to run out of gas. But there was like, I made it 28 minutes it was. So it was like, and Davey came back, he's like, what are you doing? And I was like, I just felt good. Like, I didn't really want to stop. And that was the thing for me where it was just like, I feel like I have that now to where I can just go and not have it bother me.
Yeah, it's I was at Anaheim 1, got to watch. I was actually there all day, got to watch time qualifying, heat races, main events. I would say your 250 career has been obviously very accelerated, right? I can remember Futures. I think you were riding, maybe it was a Yamaha, maybe for EBR. Was it EBR Yamaha?
Futures, I was on my own. I just had my own
okay
deal. I was on EBR before that, but I was running my own deal at.
Okay, yeah. So you were there. I think I remember you casing the triple. Your bars actually went down, I think, right? Was that you? On the far side of the track. But regardless, nonetheless, you have been on an accelerated program, right? Wasn't this big amateur phenom, and then boom, you're at the stage, you're at Futures, riding really well. Then you get the KTM ride. You put in some strong rides last year. And then what I saw at Anaheim 1 for time qualifying, and obviously we all watched the Deegan show this past year and his great races that he's had. But then you were putting it on the board. You guys were fighting for tenths, and here goes Juju to the top. Here comes Deegan to the top. Here goes back to Hayden. That to me right there is what I was like, holy shit, now you're in the game. Like you're here. It's going to be real, because from what I've noticed in the past of your racing is you handle pressure very well, and your starts are pretty damn good too. So it was just getting a few of those other pieces of the puzzle put into place. And I feel like you have that now, and you're riding phenomenal. What is your opinion, or how do you take and look for each weekend? And obviously Hayden's up here, meaning like he's the past champ, outdoor champ. I feel like you're SMX champ. Yeah. Like you're nipping at his heels now. Did you expect that?
Yeah, I think I expected to have the speed right away. I knew I could go the same speed as him. That wasn't something that I was too worried about. For me, it was putting all the pieces together. And Obviously, we have Rider D training with us now, and we worked a lot in the off season on just having patience when we're behind. If I start behind them, just don't force anything. Don't try to make the move too quick, and wait for a mistake to happen. And that was something Davey and Frankie really instilled in me this offseason, was to just be patient, wait for it to come to you. And that's what I've been trying to do lately, is just, even in the heat race, I didn't get a great start, and just be patient. Don't try to force your way to the front. Let everything come to you, and let the race come to you, and not try to focus too much on, oh, I need to be here, when we can just focus on, all right, let's pick this person off, keep picking people off, and we'll be there at some point.
That's an incredible game plan for sure. I agree with it, especially, I mean, RV, you know how key that is in the 450 class, just because the race is a little bit longer, and sometimes guys, they make mistakes, especially when you're pressuring them. And then you were like this weekend, for example, you would think, because he's a rookie, that Cole would have made some mistakes just being in that position. I mean, dude, you were a rookie at one stage. It's like nerve-wracking. It's so hard to only focus on yourself, rather as when you're at A1, a dude like Joe is less likely to make a mistake because he has so much experience. And that I like that. We froze up, RV.
We did. I see that. We got a good shot at Juju, though.
That's right.
It's a credential shot.
That's right. I do feel like it was almost similar to last week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you watch it and stuff. And I think that Will was doing a report, it talked to Davey and all that stuff. And he felt like he should have passed a little bit quicker, tried to pass a little bit quicker on Joe. And I agree with that.
Yeah. A1. Yeah, for sure. And I think we're just like watching, like I said, Juju after time qualifying, he's a little pit bull. He's got the fight in him. And I also think that he's in a different position than a lot of riders, because there was no big amateur lead up, right? Like he emerged on the scene, and you're like, who's this dude? So, I mean, that's how I was. I'm like, who's this Juju, kid?
Yeah, dude, I was the same, because when you're not immersed in the amateur scene, you know what I mean? And now that you are, you're going to be knowing all these kids. So when you see the SMX next class, now you're going to be like, oh yeah, dude, I watched this guy at freaking, this qualifier, that qualifier. He's a diamond in the rough.
Exactly. So
but that's the thing. His story is incredible, dude. Like, he was just talking about it. Like, you thought he was on a team. He's like, no, dude, I was on my own. And then I think he came and tried out for the STAR program at one stage. I don't know if he comes back on. And then I don't know if that worked out. And then I think Daniel Blair got him on the Red Bull KTM program, or whatever their amateur program is, and he's off to the races. And that was a good find,
Yeah, no, for sure. I think, and I said this earlier too, guys like we use Hayden and Jet, right? Like, they set the bar. Everybody that's second to all the way back to your 22nd place guy. Those dudes all know where the bar's set, right? And guys like Hayden and guys like Jet, like, it's hard to raise that bar when you don't kind of know where to raise it to, and guys like Juju and guys like Eli, they know where they need to go. It's the roadmap's already been put in place. So I think that's what's really cool to see is guys in the 250 class or the 450 class bridging that gap.
Yeah, we're building you up, Juju. But one thing you got to do with that bonus money, that number one bonus money, guy, you need to get you some better Wi-Fi.
Yeah, my Wi-Fi. I don't know what's going on. It might be because my TV was on downstairs. I just had them turn it off. So
I like the jacket, though. I like the jacket. That was pretty steezy.
Yeah, my jacket was definitely. I tried to come in. I think everyone was going to come into A1 with a little bit. Obviously, Hayden had his Rolex on, so I was trying to. I had to join the crew there.
Hey, real quick, dude. We were talking when you're getting everything sorted out. Did you? I mean, your SMX Next appearance, you were on your own, doing your own deal. Then Daniel Blair kind of scouted you out. But before that, didn't you tell me that you did a STAR tryout or something?
Yeah, I did, right after Mini O's. I rode pretty good at Mini O's. I was supposed to race outdoors, but I crashed last day in Supercross with Janik and jacked up my wrist. So I went home, I rested for, I don't know, I'd say a week, and I went to Star that next week, and I rode for 2 days there, and then, nothing really happened. I went back home, got back to work, and then at Futures, I qualified first at the SMX Next at A2,
Yeah.
and they had called me then as well, and I went to the semi, and they offered me, that same, like, I don't know, say, like, tryout deal, like the 6 month,
Yeah.
that deal, they offered me that, but I said, "All right, like, let's wait," and then, I'd got an offer from KTM that week, and I went with that.
Perfect, dude. Dude, that's an incredible story. I remember DB telling me, he's like, dude, I'm gonna get this guy, and he was like, he was praising you, and I'm like, I'm gonna watch this guy, like, and like really hone in on him, and dude, it worked out well. Worked out well for you for sure. So you get your first win. Was it what you expected? Was it not what you expected? Were you expecting something different? Like what? Tell us what that feeling was like.
I think I didn't expect it to come this early on in the season. I think I expected to be on the podium, be there, and then
Oh, dude,
Man,
damn. Come on, Julian.
jeez.
Slacking, dude. We gotta send hey,
We need to call
we got
on
a
and
GoFundMe page. We got a GoFundMe page for
yeah.
Juju's
Can we
Wi-Fi setup.
can we get Elon on the phone and have him bump up the power over there wherever he's at?
That's right, dude. We're gonna bring him in for a third time because he says he switched Wi-Fi. I wonder if he called Elon and like, dude, all right, Juju, where are you at now, guy? This is awesome.
I think the Wi-Fi's back. We're adding a little bit of extra
Yeah,
drama into this. Just
there.
trying to let the Wi-Fi
Perfect.
do
We'll
its
get
thing.
it. We'll get it sorted. So you talked about your story and your timeline of you after the mini O's, you did a tryout with Star, and then you also talked about after that you came back home, did your own deal, did SMX Next, and then you were P1 in practice, and Star came and gave you an offer. You didn't sign it, and then the next weekend you signed your deal with KTM, and then from that point on, it just right.
Yeah, no, for sure. It definitely just it really took off from there. I think the biggest thing was before I hired Davey that
Uh-huh.
January of Futures. I really I trained on the bike, but I'd never done anything off the bike at all. I wasn't cycling. I wasn't doing anything. So that was like the biggest thing for me was getting into that program of doing everything
Mhm.
every day and the
Yeah.
repetitiveness of it. And I think I struggled a little bit just trying to build that base last year. I didn't have from going from not training to training. I wasn't able to build that base that I feel like everyone else had from training for so many years. And I think
Hmm.
that was one of the biggest things this offseason that changed.
Do you what was the biggest challenge, do you think, like after your first year last year? Because I mean, I think there was some expectation there for sure. And because especially coming after how well you did at A1, and you were a rookie. So like how you did at A1, and just because you didn't get on the box, like I still felt like it was a great ride. And I'm like, okay, dude, this kid's he's on it. And then like where do you think the challenge came in after A1 last year? Like were you like, oh crap, like I wasn't expecting this.
I think those 2 mud races really just ruined a lot of my confidence. I mean, it's not a secret I'm not great in mud. I live in the middle of nowhere in the desert, so we don't get much rain. And San Francisco wasn't terrible. Like I think I got 11th that night. It wasn't. I mean, I crashed probably 8 times, but it wasn't like that bad. But that race was also survival. It was probably one of the
Yeah, it
gnarliest
was
mud races
brutal.
I've ever
Yeah.
seen.
Yeah, it was
And
brutal.
San Diego wasn't as bad of mud, but I just struggled there, and that was really when I was like, that wasn't great. And then I felt like I got back going a little bit at Anaheim too. I got a 5th in the last Triple Crown main event that night,
Yep.
and I thought I had it back going. And then that week before Glendale, I was riding a track and it was pretty windy, and I came up short on the triple and fractured 2 ribs. And that was like, after that, I had nothing left. I couldn't. In the main event at Glendale, I rode really good. I think I worked my way up to like 4th or 5th, and then I just couldn't hang on anymore. And I felt like that was my biggest struggle, was I was having little things and little crashes that just shouldn't have been happening.
Mm.
Got it. I wondered about that. That's where it's like, and then you did well at some of the SMX rounds though. Like,
Yeah.
like you started to come alive. What was it? Was it Charlotte?
Charlotte,
where you did?
yeah, I did really good there. I felt like I had those 3 weeks in between outdoors and SMX where, same as this off season, I rode really good in those 3 weeks, and I came in and I was like, if I can just execute how I want to execute, then it'll be good. And I still felt my starts were really good that night. I got both hole shots in both motos, and that was good, but I still felt like my riding wasn't quite where I was at the test track yet.
Mhm.
And that's the biggest thing that changed this offseason. Well, I feel like I got so used to having that feeling that I have at the test track that it's like, if I'm not riding like that, something's wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot to take in, as is coming in, riding for a factory team, and you get so many laps at these test tracks, you know it like the back of your hand. And then you get to the Supercross races or the weekends, and obviously the tracks are different, the conditions are different. I know what Corona's like. I've been to your guys' track. I know exactly how it is. And it's not much different every single day, right? So then you come out and you get on these ones, maybe it's tacky, maybe it's slippery, maybe it's hard pack, maybe it's got ruts in it, and then obviously you have all the nerves of the day, time qualifying, the main events, heat races, all of that. And sometimes just getting what you have during the week and executing that on the weekend. And sometimes it takes guys a lot longer. I personally think, going off of your start to your season, this current season to last year, like it takes a little bit of time. I wouldn't think it didn't take you very long, put it that way. Like, and it's really cool and good to see from Frankie's level or Davies is like, okay, when you can do these really cool or like, show glimpses of greatness during the week, like that's where it's like, okay, he's got the greatness in him. Where now we need to refine him to do that now during the week every day, but then transition it from every week and every day during the week to on Saturday night. And you guys have done a great job with that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's pretty much exactly how it went. Like last year in the off season, there was days where I was just as fast as everyone else at the test track, and then there's days where I was off, and that was different this off season. I was there every single day. There was no bad days. There was nothing that was like, oh, he's a second and a half off the stay. Like, we should start thinking about something. Where this off season, it was like every day was almost perfect, and it was just a matter of if I could bring that on Saturday. And I feel like we did a lot better of that this year, just bringing that same mentality and same thing we do during the week to Saturdays.
Mm-hmm. And the maturity level, like that helps. Like it's tough to be like, hey, you can do it during the week, but how come you can't do it on the weekend? Yeah. And some guys are able to transition and make that happen sooner. And that's what it's all about is just executing on the weekend and riding the way you can ride. Because if you can do it during the week, you should be able to do it on the weekend.
That's right. That's right. Hey, Juju, do you ever think, so first of all, do you like when we call it, what would you rather go by, Juju or Julien?
Either one. I think Juju's a little more catchy, so it helps a little bit, but I say Juju probably.
All right, just making sure that I can relay the message. We don't want to be because I kind of go like back and forth, and I'm like, well, what if he doesn't like that? All right, that's good to know. So, how much, like, I always tell people, like, my story would have been like from 97 to 98. Those were 97 was my first year. You weren't born until
Nope.
when were you born?
06.
Oh, 06, guy.
My first year pro.
Oh, 06.
dude. Oh, you feel old, RV?
I just I got gray right here. A bunch of
Oh,
it.
I jack with Davey all the time. We
That's
were
right,
having,
dude. That's what we were talking about when I saw you at Dr. G's. You're like, Dr. G was like, I don't even think he was born for that year, because we were talking about when I crashed in St. Louis, and you're like, I was born in 2006. I'm like, holy crap, dude. But no, like how much you learn from your first year to the second year. And I just remember like I feel like when I watch you now, like in time qualifying practice, like even let's just talk about this year, Anaheim, and then this weekend, it just looks like everything, all the pieces of the puzzle have come together, and you look so comfortable, dude. Like it's like I watch like RV. I've been impressed with him. Like he doesn't even look like he's trying. Obviously, I know he's trying, but it looks like it comes relatively smooth to you, Juju.
yeah, and even in like the main event last night, when I was behind Davies, I was perfectly fine with where I was at. The only
Yep.
thing, obviously, like you said, I didn't want to do what I did with Shimoda and let him get a little bit of that gap and then him settle in and be fine. And that's where we had worked a lot on like me attacking at the halfway point in training.
Yeah.
And I looked up the lap I passed him. I looked up at the clock over the triple before the sand section, and I looked up at the clock and I seen 8:40, and I was like, "Oh yeah, we got to go now. Like we can't wait any longer." And that's when I made the pass and I tried to get away, and then just I almost settled in there. Like I was in a good spot. I had tabs on Smith. I knew when he
Yeah.
was catching, and I think there was one lap. Even you said it in the broadcast. There was one lap where he was doing that triple quad, and he came back, I think, to like 2.1 seconds.
Yeah.
And my mechanic put on the pit board, "You need to go."
Yeah.
And so I put down, I think, two pretty good laps. I got back to like 3.5, 3.8, and
Yeah.
felt
Yeah.
like I was pretty good from there.
Yeah, exactly. You did. Like, I was like, oh, he's like, he had kind of closed it up to like 2 seconds. Yeah. And then you brought it back exactly to like 3.6 or something like that. And then just held steady. It was,
Was your main line that triple quad, or I think we have replay of it on the show here that you were going double, triple, double, or single into the turn,
Yeah.
one of the two.
Yeah,
What
I
did
did.
you hit the quad?
I did it in practice, but I never jumped in the main event.
And from the replay shot that we have on the show, it looked like, I think it was Smith and you went double, he was going the triple quad. Like, to me, it didn't, in that specific scenario there, it didn't look like it was maybe a tenth to go faster, because you were pushing through the double really good, and then the triple you were pushing through that too. Tires were more on the ground. Obviously, you had then options to be able to go inside before the triple or rail the berm. I know we had talked about it. Some guys were like, "Man, I wish we didn't have this big quad." I mean, what was your feelings on it?
I didn't mind the quad. I looked at it. I mean, I was gonna jump it if I had to jump it. That wasn't like it wasn't worrying me. But I had dart fished it earlier in the day, and we knew it wasn't that big of a difference. Like even if I had to go double, triple, double, it wasn't terrible. So I
Yeah.
decided, like, I looked at it on the side lap, and the corner was pretty beat up. And I was honestly like, second lap when Davies went for it, I was like, wow, we're gonna have to jump this thing. And but when I realized it wasn't too much slower, I was like, yeah, I'll just stay inside. And um, even the lap I passed him, I was like, he's setting up that corner so much to do the 3 in that
Yep.
I knew that if I got
yeah.
close enough, I'd be able to dive down the inside, and there'd be nowhere for him to go. And so that was like my focus on if I can keep this going and just try to force him into making that mistake and going out that wide when I'm close, I can make the pass there.
Yeah, it just looked like you were able to push through that rhythm session going double, triple, double, like, and then obviously those dudes were getting massive airtime, right? So that you were able to stay on the ground and gain a little bit, or even send it off of that double into the turn, into the berm if you were going to go outside, jumping deep into there. It seemed like it was very, very similar, very close in times, but then you had options because you could go inside or outside. If you're jumping the triple or the quad, typically everybody was fading to the outside just because of the corners, the entry speed that you had off of the quad.
Yeah, for sure. And I never went to that inside. The only thing that caught me off guard was one lap. I think there was like 3 laps left. And I got a little off balance in that right hander after the quad. And I drug my entire shoulder on, like, the the lights on the side of the
Yes.
triple. Drug my
Yeah.
whole hand and shoulder on the side of the thing. I was like, yeah, we can't do that anymore.
No.
Let's
No
not
doubt.
do this. That
That's right.
one scared me a little bit. I was like, all right, nah, like we need to be careful here. But yeah, that was the triple quad. I wasn't too worried about it.
Sweet.
Good. That's interesting. I liked your line. I thought it was good. And for the record, I don't like quads. I don't think they should be on the track. I just think like the the risk factor is just too much. And that thing was big, dude. Like watching
that
you
was
guys in real life. I was telling RV, like, because he wasn't at the race. I'm like watching it in real life because I was down on the track watching you guys' first time practice. And I'm like, that thing is big, dude. If somebody messes up, it's gonna be bad. So
yeah,
there
and
you go.
even in qualifying, when I first did it, it was like I'd watched press and they were jumping it pretty easy, so I wasn't like too worried about it. And
Mhm.
I went 3, I went 4, and I was just like way too confident I was gonna make it.
Yeah.
He didn't give it enough, and I was in the air. I was like, I'm dead for sure. I
Really?
saved it. Luckily I saved it, but I came back and Seth, he does all of our film and everything. He goes,
Yeah.
I've never seen someone jump a quad and then case a quad so confidently in my life. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I was in the air and there was nothing I could do at that point.
Yeah, no, you're stuck.
Yeah.
That's right. Nothing you could. You're a passenger in the sky, brother. Well, dude, congratulations on your first of what I can only assume will be many. You've been super impressive. Your story is incredible of how you got to where you were, outside even of your jet ski career. So everyone listening, or if you're watching this podcast, go check him out if you don't know his story. I mean, we talked about it millions of times, but dude, the way you've done it and how impressive you've been, congratulations on that first win, my friend.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys for having me on.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. Just a, like, good kid. I love his demeanor. Love what he brings to the table. His story is incredible. It is incredible. Yeah, just the being able. I mean, RV, you and I raced dirt bikes our whole life. We didn't have any distractions with other sports. I mean, this kid was doing both, right? That's what's so impressive to me.
Yeah, no, for sure. You know, stand-up jet ski. I think they're originally from out by the Havasu area.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously you've rode one, Ricky. I've rode one. I'm sure there's a lot of people that have rode one because it kind of correlates with a motorcycle. But yeah, completely different sport. Rode dirt bikes, obviously in the desert and some track stuff, but it was majority of it was stand-up jet ski. I think he's a world champ or a champ in stand up in his own right there, and then to come to a whole different sport and now get his first win, and potentially championship, you know, and throughout his career of racing Supercross and motocross, that would be a really, really cool story and transition, you know, to being a professional in two different disciplines.
Hi folks, Lee Diffie from NBC Sports here. If you truly enjoyed what you just watched, you can get more news, interviews, and highlights by subscribing to the Motorsports on NBC YouTube page. You can get it all, so go for it.